All right, let's talk Notre Dame Fighting Irish. All eyes are now focused on the future, the 2025 season. We're working our way through winter workouts, getting ready for spring ball. We're starting to see which newcomers to this Fighting Irish program are off to a great start. Guys who are going to have a big early impacts. And we've got an exciting update on a few freshmen in particular. They're doing some really nice things, impressing all the right people. We'll get into that in just a second. But first, I'm Nick. This is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, Notre Dame freshman 2025 class, early enrollees, getting in front of the strength staff, showing their skills, seeing what Notre Dame, for the first time, they're able to see on campus, who they brought in, who they recruited. Some good reports on a number of these guys. Let's pull it up, courtesy of On3 Sports. With the spring semester underway, most top 2025 recruits have enrolled early and are now participating in winter workouts and preparing for college football spring practices to begin. On three, Steve Wiltfong and Pete Nako spoke with sources at several schools, including Michigan, Georgia, Alabama, and Ohio State, and Notre Dame, to learn which top 25 recruits are already turning heads. Linebacker Madden Faramo is awesome. The kid is wired right. He ran around at practice. He's going to be a good one. Safety Jadon Blair is a freak show. Everything we hope for athletically, lengthwise, probably even taller, longer than people think he is. Kyle Hamilton, anyone? Offensive lineman Kim Herron has been impressive. I know he's a late addition to the class, but he is always who offensive line coach Joe Rudolph saw as the best center in the country. High praise there. He's already 290 pounds. He's long as hell, and he's already one of the twitchiest players on the offensive line, and he's strong as hell. High praise for a number of these guys, off to a great start with the Fighting Irish when it comes to what they're doing in winter workouts leading into spring ball. Miles, I know you got a few thoughts on this, but first, Notre Dame fans in the comment section below, of all the freshmen coming into this class, who are you most excited to see? Who do you think will have a big impact early in their career for Notre Dame? A lot of interesting guys, obviously offensive linemen. You look at it, safety, like there's a lot of different ways you could go with this, but give us the one freshman you think is going to have a massive impact early for Notre Dame. Put them in the comment section below. But Mize, over to you now. What are your thoughts on this latest news for the Irish?
Yeah, Nick, I think, like you said, high praise all around. A lot of these guys we talk about, when you go in, strength and conditioning coaches, they're not really like too partial to anybody, especially freshmen. They probably pick on them a little bit more than most. So anyone that comes in and they're able to say, this guy is, let me quote this, a freak show, everything we hope for athletically, and then goes on to say even taller and longer than we thought that he was going to be, talking about safety Jadon Blair. I think that's a really good sign. I think you should be pretty excited about that. And then the comments on Cam Herron, offensive lineman, I think that was good because Joe Rudolph, he's been there for a couple of years now, and we've seen some of the better offensive linemen come out of Notre Dame out of this time. Talking Joe Alt, who's now a really great rookie, or had a great rookie season rather, with the Chargers. This is a guy who's seen some of the top offensive linemen in the country come out of Notre Dame, and for him to say this is the best center in the country. This is the guy that I wanted, and he's already, twitchy, long, strong. This is really, really great news for the Irish. I think this is going to go a long way when we get to spring. It's like you said, these guys coming in early on, it's always a great sign that you have guys that are, coming in athletically and more impressive. Because that's all you can do at that point. At this point, you don't know the playbook. You're not running plays. If you impress in the weight room and doing those kind of things early on the practice field, that is a key that shows that you're an early starter and you're doing really well. And I think all Notre Dame fans should be impressed about these young players this early on in their careers.
Yeah, I think one of the things that jumped out to me was the commentary about Kim Herron, right? And I think that's something that really, really surprised me, that they were so excited on a guy who's a little undersized, who maybe wasn't the late addition to the class, that kind of thing. Because Notre Dame, if they know one thing, it's picking up linemen, developing them, and turning them into freaking superstars. And the fact they're coming out and saying, listen, at 290 pounds, he's already 290 pounds, which in today's world, I know that sounds like a big number, really isn't that big for an offensive lineman. And they really are impressed with his strength. I think Cam Herron's the next great Notre Dame Fighting Irish offensive lineman. I think this high praise so early on, I feel like Notre Dame and Coach Rudolph, they identified this kid and said, listen, he needs to come into our program. He's going to be a stud. And they got him, and they're so excited. And he showed up in the early returns right now is he is as advertised. Looks like the Fighting Irish may have gotten a steal here and here, because if he's as good as much as Coach Rudolph says he is, and as much as the reports are, then they got another, first round pick, superstar, All American guy like Notre Dame has just collected over the years, or over the recent history here. And I think that's a great sign for the Fighting Irish, because the way they've always been built, whether you go back to the Kelly days, now of course under Coach Freeman, is that they're winning in the trenches. They're about depth and winning in the trenches and bringing in veteran, solid quarterback play. It's a different kind of football. It's very professionally minded in terms of NFL, right? Obviously, we saw it in the Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles. They won in the trenches with offense and defensive lines. The NFL, even though it's a quarterback league, the way everyone wants to talk about it, it's really about the guys up front. Notre Dame has structured its team that way, and that's how they're able to weather a lot of injuries, because they're so deep and so talented in the line of scrimmage. They can beat anybody. They can beat SEC teams. They can go toe to toe, Big Ten, Pac-12, or Pac-2, whatever it is now. The teams moved over to the Big Ten. It's getting hard for me to keep remembering that. ACC, Big 12, it doesn't matter, right? Because they're structured so well at the line of scrimmage, they can compete and beat anybody. And I think what we're going to see from Heron, this freshman coming in, is the next in a long line of quality Notre Dame offensive linemen. And again, it's important to get off to a strong start and impress your coaches. We see it all the time. We've seen it for a number of years now. The guys that start fast are the guys that get the early opportunities in spring ball. The guys that get the early opportunities in spring ball get the opportunities in training camp and get the opportunities in the regular season. Now, look, it doesn't mean the guys that don't start fast aren't going to become great players, right? So a lot of guys don't start fast. It just happens. But the guys that are off to a strong start, they usually start strong in every facet. They start strong in the weight room. They start strong in spring ball, summer workouts, training camp, regular season, right? Doesn't guarantee it, but it's a great positive indicator. And what we're seeing from these Notre Dame freshmen so far that we've highlighted is that these guys are on a strong track to making a big impact early for the Fighting Irish.